Hey, you guys, thanks for tuning in to jayraydntplay. Um, Here I have a special guest with me today. Let me go and transition to me so you can see me. Hi, hi, hi. Yes, today is an awesome day. It's a day of lots of synchronicities. I have my t-shirt that I was working on and I finally got the package after a week. I also got another shirt that I have here. I'll show you later, and also a pillow that I got. Oh, so exciting. Everything, just lots of merchandise that I got from working on Adobe. And I have these things that I've been working on for a while, and I also have this special guest that I've been meaning to interview. And what we're gonna do is just like actually just hang out and just go with the flow. That's what I really like to do. And here today with me is, drum roll please. Sanyee, how you doing, Sanyee? Here's Sanyee.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Hello from LA, J Ray.
Yes, awesome, cool. Sanyee, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I know we talked about the music you have playing in the background, so it almost feels like we're in a coffee shop together, just chatting.
Yeah,
Well,
it
hey,
does.
Dad. Yeah,
It
it's been
feels
a
that
minute.
way.
I haven't seen you since my sister's birthday party on Zoom. That was like 3 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, and that was the first time I kind of like introduced people to my girlfriend on Zoom. So that was pretty fun. It was a little different for me to do that, and I'm excited to just introduce. I was introducing you guys to her, and this is a whole different experience for me, and also just being in Zoom too, and also this too right now, just like having this podcast. And I think like just taking it different places, as in this Twitch platform versus just the Anchor app. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really nice that you have that bonus element of people being able to see us, and then as we talk, us being able to see each other too. Like again, it feels like coffee shop.
Yeah,
Feels
it
like
does.
phone calls more.
It's like we're in a Zoom. I mean, but we're not. And then like this little edits in the top. Oh, that rhymed. And then I'm drinking water here today. What do you have in your coffee shop?
Oh yeah. So I got tea. I got some rose green tea that I put ginger and honey in. I've really become my own barista in quarantine.
Oh
I just
wow.
have honey tea in my Paramount mug. So I have so many mugs. I have like a mug collection of every studio I've been to in
Yo,
LA.
wow. When you
Yeah.
said mug, I thought of me because like whenever you travel, you see like Starbucks, and then they have like, oh, this is LA. Oh, this is Nevada. Or like when you went to Switzerland, I bet there's like a Starbucks cup that just say Switzerland. It's because it's a totally awesome collectible. And I always collect that. Whenever I went with my cousin to just travel, we would just collect these cups. And then we have a stack of it in our kitchen, but we just never drink these cups. Just it just display. Like flexing where we travel to.
Yeah, that was like me too. I put all the mugs in the cabinets, and then yeah, I wouldn't drink out of them because I was just like, oh, keep them pristine and clean, and like you said, collectibles. But I think during quarantine, then my roommate and I were just cleaning a lot, and I realized how many I had, and I was like, I should be using them. So some days I really will just make like 5 different cups of tea and have them all out, like while I'm writing, while I'm working, and again, I feel like it's a coffee shop theme again. That's inescapable during quarantine.
I should have like named the title,
Yeah.
um, "Hanging Out with Sanyee." In I should have named the title "Hanging Out with Sanyee in a Coffee Shop" and talk.
I know, yeah. Virtual coffee shop. Yeah, a virtual coffee house talk.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So now that we're here, and I was gonna record on like podcasts, and we are just gonna talk about like all these things that were happening, in our, now like coronavirus and whatnot. This was just like really for like fully tapping into, but we can talk about anything. I'm just really curious right now though, like yeah, how are you going? How are things since like coronavirus has hit and whatnot for you in LA? I've heard some of my friends say there's like all you could eat Korean barbecue places that are open, but yeah, I don't know. What is your position or how are things over there with you?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know KBBQ places are reopening back up. I literally was just talking to my mom last night saying I think hot pot, KBBQ, and buffets are probably struggling the most out of
Oh,
any restaurant,
yeah,
just because it's so hard to, minimize contact. Like there's just so much contact for those places. But yeah, I have actually not been out. I have not eaten out. I've just been cooking a lot for myself. It just because I get a lot of, I guess, relaxation from cooking and like controlling my food. And I like being able to save money at this time right now to like, I will just buy groceries from Trader Joe's. And then I'm very surprised at just how I can make food last. Like before, I don't know. It's funny to think about expenses. Like when we have the chance to go out, it's almost like we just spend a little more recklessly, or maybe I do. That's something I can speak to, where I just like to socialize. And then I think being forced to be inside and having Zoom social interactions and making my own drinks, like making my own chai tea latte or making, my own snack mix. I feel like it's been nice because it's helped me save a lot or just become more responsible with my finances
yeah,
at this time, which is important. And then, yeah, been working from home too. I've been learning a lot about setting boundaries in quarantine too, which I'm very grateful for. Yeah, because I guess before I was always saying yes to every project and just telling my bosses, yeah, like, oh, I have time. Oh, I can do this, even if I knew my schedule was going to get like more crunched. And I think I kind of did that because it was just easy to be busy and it was hard to relax. And I think that's a lot of the world right now. I think we're all kind of learning to relax more. I am grateful that I do still have work to do at this time, and I was trying to support a lot of the coronavirus relief efforts too by playing trivia for a cause. And then that was over Zoom, and I like that too. And for me, honestly, I also really like, again, just socializing from home because I don't have to travel. Because you know me, I don't have a car in LA, so I would always be hopping into Ubers and Lyfts, like sitting in traffic. Like it takes forever to get anywhere in LA.
wow. Yeah, like what you said, honestly, is the same with me. And like, I feel like I look at my bank statements and I'm like, oh, I'm not at Stonestown buying some more pizza. Or, oh, I'm not getting some boba. And then why? Because I'm not constantly hanging out with people that like I would, usually have to. Or like, because I used to work at Stonestown, like I would just like get off the YMCA and then walk to get some food, and like I don't have to do that now. And like also stay in place, I mean SIP, I forget what is it, standard stay in place. It seems so bad.
Shelter in place, right?
Shelter.
No, we're safer at home. LA is safer at home.
Safer at home.
SFA.
Safer in place. I don't know, SIP, quarantine, just stay in. So it's like, oh, don't go out because it's scary. So stay here in your house. Like, yeah, like, okay, so I'll just like buy in chunk and then try to make things, what did you say? Like, you break things into like little tasks, or you break your food portions. And I agree to that. I'm really curious though, like when you said setting healthy boundaries, that's something that I've been like really popping off on too. Like I've been learning a lot from just um like me being toxic. Actually, like at first I thought I mean, like I was stating my clear boundaries with my friends, and then like my friend okay, so the story is I recently lost a friend, a very close friend of mine, of very long year. I mean, like since middle school, and then like I was, what was that?
Oh, I said, okay. I think I might have seen a little bit of this on Facebook.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was.
Right.
So like I just like learned that, I guess because of me being able to set my clear boundaries, then that's when I found out like, oh, maybe this was why our relationship kind of just split, because I was setting my healthy boundary and they weren't like capable of like hearing it out too, because I was always constantly just molding myself to what, like, like for me it was be jokes, like, oh, this jokes kind of are hurtful, and I would state that, and then like I guess they didn't, they were like, how come you're just telling me this now or whatnot. Yeah, and that's with me, that's like how I kind of learned it. And also I guess I was toxic too. I mean, I was not, I guess I was toxic too, and I learned that so I can become, not as bad as before. Yeah.
Yeah, well, wait, so why did your friend think you were being toxic? Just because you were pointing out when you were bothered?
There was another thing too. There was like, I guess it just added stuff. Like, I also, I see my pattern behavior, and when I look back, is that I have tend to flake on people sometimes, and then have flaked on like a couple of folks or even work. And then I remember too, I was gonna hang out with you and your sister and some folks from our student government, and then I was like, oh, I don't feel well. But I mean, I think there's like two things to that. It's like sometimes I'm not in the right mental space, just like what other folks say. Like we're not in the mental space to hang out or like have fun or like go to a party, because it's hard to go to a party when you see everyone's happy, and then when my inner struggle is like I'm kind of sad inside. You know what I mean? Like, one thing is like I was about to go. This was like in January. My friend had a party, and she was having her party, and she wanted me to go. I told her about like 3 or 4 days before that I wasn't gonna go because I was feeling sad. I told her I would do the best to go, like maybe um like maybe 2 weeks in advance. But I just like 3 to 4 days before I was like, yo, I'm not feeling well. I don't know how I'll feel later, but I feel like I can't go because I'm like feeling really sad. And this was when I was like posting a whole bunch of things around January, because I felt like I wasn't being understood, and I felt like I didn't feel like someone heard me. So I was just blasting things on social media as a way to vent, because before, like my pattern behavior, I would just keep it into myself and internalize the things and suppress the things that was bothering me the most. And this time I just wanted to flip it because I was angered instead of suppress it. Yeah. I didn't really answer it too. I was also sorry, one more toxic thing is like, oh, one of my other friends, this is why I told, okay, this is friend A, I told him about friend B, who I also just like flaked on to hang out with my like other friends, because my two other friends were outside. They were like, hey, let's go watch this movie. And then this other friend that was person B, they said, oh, I was gonna watch the movie with them at Oakland, but I was just like, yo, my two friends are here to pick me up. I'm sorry, but it's just like more convenient to hang out with them right now, so I'm not gonna come over to Oakland. And then my friend was just like, yo, you did that to me before, da 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 da. So it was like, that's kind of the toxic trait that I had, I guess, because like I would flake. That's the main thing, flake. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was almost like you want to be there for people, but then it's like you have limited capacity in terms of the time and energy and I guess resources. And then it's almost like I feel like maybe you just didn't want to disappoint people,
Yeah.
and then that's why it felt almost easier to flake than to be like, oh, I can't make it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. It
No,
might be just
honestly,
me.
it is. I mean, like how you said, it's. I feel like it's kind of similar. Tell me if I'm wrong. Like how you said that you would say yes to a lot of projects. It's kind of like me. Like I would say yes to hanging out with a lot of friends, just because I think for me, like I would be more of a people pleaser before, and I would like just say yes because I didn't know how to say no, or I didn't practice saying no as much. And then me saying no a little bit more later on, people started giving me that pushback. Were like, huh? This is different. J Ray's not saying yes. So I mean, like also, yeah, like sometimes I'll be feeling some type of way. So then, like, I kind of changed my mindset to like, instead of saying yes to things, I'll be like, yo, wishful thinking. I'll come out and hang out. I can't commit because like I guess it's just changing my vocabulary and mindset to people of like when I'm gonna hang out or if I'll show up. I'm like I'll do my best to my ability to show up, but I don't know for now. But I'm still learning and I'm progressing to see what is the best for folks because I know some folks want you to commit and then some folks like are really sad or some folks don't, they're like don't mind. I think it also depends on their own inner self and how they feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think, it's like before with work, I did used to say yes to like so many things, and then I realized I would be the one suffering if I was working past my own limits and just pushing myself really hard, and it just wasn't good self care. And I think I was afraid of disappointing the bosses who were counting on me at the workplace, and then I just realized in the long run I would be disappointing myself if I didn't take care of myself, and I would be disappointing like my friends and my loved ones who would just be like, "Why are you so tired? You're running yourself to the ground. You're
Yeah.
like not remembering to eat 3 meals a day." It's not healthy to carry on like this. Like it comes to a point where you have to decide what's a sustainable way of operating versus what's unsustainable. And I think thankfully in quarantine, we've all been learning to set better boundaries and realizing that it's not offensive to others. Or at least in some cases it may be, but then maybe those people aren't meant to be in your life if they can't respect that boundaries exist.
Yeah, this is so true. Like, um, if they're not able, I feel like it's also they're not. Oh, you said they're not meant to be part of your life if they're not able to accept or respect that boundary that you place for them. Like that reminded me of this person, of another friend that kind of ghosted me because I was just like having this energy. And I wasn't told until a couple days later that they're like, oh, sometimes your energy is really high. That's why I just can't really hang out with you, blah, blah, blah. And then later, I was like, oh, I mean, like, I don't hang out with you that often as before because, like, I guess their feelings changed. I was like, always, and then I was just like, oh, I understand if you, like, ghost me. What was that? Did you hear that sound?
Was
Oh,
that on Twitch?
oh, it was on Twitch. I just got a subscription from my friend in like high school. Thank you for the subscription. Cool. That's why Twitch is dope. That was awesome. Thank you, Riptide Net. Okay, so speaking on the witch, I was talking about my like this. What was that? Oh, I got another one. This is cool. I got one from HKT Dusk. Alright, appreciate for the Twitch Prime sub. Thank you.
Yeah, because what happens during a podcast, right? Podcasting before you don't get to like interact live with your followers.
Oh yeah, like on the app, Anchor. Like I wouldn't do that, but I guess like there's also live podcasts too, and which is like where we're tapping into right now. That's kind of cool. You know how like sometimes where they could ask questions and then just talk to. It's like having a live interview and people could write something and they talk.
I like that. I like it. It's kind of like that Reddit, the AMA thread, the Ask Me Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone put a fire emoji. Cool, cool. We're on fire. We're on fire, Sanyee. Woo, fire.
Keeping it
Okay.
lit, right? Your OG name.
Oh yeah, keeping it lit. That was my old IG Instagram name. But yeah, going back to the topic at hand was just like this person ghosted me, and then they told me that they were doing this because my energy was pretty high, and sometimes they kind of like needed the energy back away, and they didn't really message me back. And then they told me, and I was like, oh, it's okay because I've done this too in the past, so I understand when I ghost people, why I ghost them, because like sometimes I just need my own mental space, before I communicate. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then later, this person did it again. This person did it again, and it was like about 2 months. They didn't text me back, and I didn't really understand. I was like, oh, I thought we already communicated this. I thought we were like good friends and whatnot. And then they communicated to me after, and then they were like, cause what I said at first, I was really mad. Like I blocked them. I was like, I don't want to talk to this person anymore on Facebook and everywhere. And then later, this person this person, I was like, maybe they're going through some things, because on Instagram I was following like posts that were about being positive and like setting healthy boundaries, and they're like, sometimes people ghost you because of their own inner struggles, not because of you, but because something that they're going through. And I was like, whoa, that's so true for me, because sometimes I ghost people because there's something in me that's going wrong. Then I was like, yo, friend, I support you when I give you like good vibes. I don't know what you're going through, and I understand that you're probably going through something hard, because I know that I go through something hard when I can't talk to people. So when I did that, a couple days later, they text me back for a fact, and they were like, "Yo, I'm sorry. I'm so thankful that you didn't like just stop texting me. It shows that you cared for me, and I'm just thankful that you did that for me." And I was like, I know. I mean, I'm glad that you messaged me back, because I did this to people too before, and they text me and they only want what's best for me too. And I mean, even though no matter how long I did not text them back, they reached out and they wanted to know genuinely that I was okay. And I did this for this person too, and it made me feel good. And this person was going through a lot. Like, they were going through like they were sexually abused when they were 11 years old or 10. Yeah. And then they're like from their like step parents, stepmom or stepdad, sorry. And then like they were just talking about how this happened, and I was like, oh man, like I never knew. And so that's the thing that I learned more is like, a lot of people go through things and they never tell us unless like we are vulnerable, or like we just are a bit there for them. And then when I was like tapping into this podcast more and more, there's like so much more depth, and I was like, whoa, like sometimes in my podcast people get really deep too. And that's what I'm saying, like when I'm talking to you, like if anything, like you feel that it's too touchy or deep, or you feel like too vulnerable and it's like hurtful, you don't have to talk about it. And this, I just want to just give that space for you and all the people that are always here, just here for me. Yeah, I'm thankful.
Yeah, I'm thankful too. Yeah, I know I get to like you tell you because you're one of my oldest friends, and we've known each other since 2007, I think. Yeah, so
Yeah, that's like junior year, so that was my junior year, so 2007 for sure.
yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like it's really nice to be able to tell you and our friends from student government days just is like, I guess it's like since we've grown up together and grown up in San Francisco specifically, then we can really lean on each other to be more vulnerable and understanding. And I think all of us just we were very interested in social action and justice even back at a young age in
Yeah,
high school. And so it's nice to see how we've continued that moving forward in life. And it's just like this sense of caring. So I like how I can always tell all of you in our wonderful student government group when something's off in LA, and I can feel closer to everyone from my hometown who like understands how I feel. Because sometimes there is a bit of a culture shock in LA, just like last night, even I was hearing people outside arguing, and there was this one guy who was refusing to put on a mask, and this other woman was trying to inform him and cite some news sources, and it just sounded like he shut down, and he said it was just only political whether or not to wear a mask, and he didn't seem to really care about the well-being of others. And then our mutual good friend Dominic, he actually said there must be a reason why cases of coronavirus are higher in LA County and LA City than in San Francisco. Like, yeah, in San Francisco, it's a more concentrated space, and LA is so spread out that you would think San Francisco's numbers would be higher, but there's almost a greater sense of like caring for other people in San Francisco. Just, I guess, almost being more altruistic. Like, okay, I'll wear a mask because I care about you and others in the community. And sometimes in LA, people do kind of just have themselves like looking out for number one and preferring to look out for number one, like that mentality. But I do think it's because a lot of people are transplants where they moved from other cities because they wanted to chase the LA dreams, and they feel like they're fighting on their own and they've got to look out for number one. So that's the mentality that I see a lot out here. But thankfully, when there is a sense of community, then it's a lot better. Like I've seen both sides in LA where I've encountered individuals who do just are seem very laser focused. And then I've seen individuals who want to collaborate and realize that success is like contingent on everyone working together and supporting each other.
I really like
Yeah.
that. I really like that a lot. I mean, I've been hanging out with a lot of people in my Filipino community, and then that laser mentality is something that I never heard of before. Compared to, I mean, like something that I could compare it to is this in the Filipino community. What they call it is like the crab mentality, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry
like
you
the
mentioned
bucket. And I was just like, oh, that's really familiar to that. This jazz music is really loud. Let me turn it down. I turn it
yeah.
up a little bit. There you go. I want to hear you a little more better. Whoa. Uh, I'll just turn it off. And then,
Yeah,
like,
I guess to me with crowd mentality, because I guess in a lot of like the Asian communities that I saw growing up, it's so easy for parents to compare their kids with each other, or just to try to motivate their kids that way and say, oh, why don't you be more like that person's kid? Like, oh, that person's kid seems like such a good kid. Be more like that. And so I think then growing up, you have this again, like you said, mentality of well, it's a competition when really it shouldn't be, because I feel like we all have our own special strengths and skills and talents and what we're uniquely good at, that it's never a competition, because you're going to be the best one for something and someone else is going to be the best one for something. You can't be the best one for everything.
yeah, this
You
this
just have to
true.
find out that's something that you're good at, or the many things you're good at, and just yeah, excel in your own rate and your own speed. I think that's something else that's happened in quarantine too. I've kind of learned to like slow down and be less impatient. And it's almost like when I was just slow cooking this chicken in my oven at like 250 degrees for like 3 hours straight. And I was just like, you know what? I think there's a reason why like slow cooked food tastes really good, because it takes time. And I think in life, sometimes our best, efforts just, yeah, take time, and our skills take time to develop. And even like, it's really cool how you started designing too. Like, I think it's cool that you're like growing, and even with the podcast, you say you're progressing and you're constantly progressing. Whereas you just hadn't even started at all and been like, oh, I want to be, top podcaster ever from the get go, then that's like not the healthiest mentality. Then you always have to just be like, well, I'm going to see this as like that journey and the path and keep growing. And then you get to like celebrate every step along the way instead of like berating yourself and saying, why aren't I here yet?
Yo, that was just really motivating just to hear that last part of like berating myself and just checking myself, and then constantly just sometimes this is what I heard recently is negatively comparing myself with others is like I'm taking it on my own spiritual path and journey, which is J Ray Don't Place on that spiritual path and journey. Like I created it because I was mad and frustrated about not being heard, not being understood, you know. And then I was just like, why? And then that's just like the three things again was like I was saying maybe it was my inhibition of being masculine, my toxicity of being masculine, my inhibition of like self blame, blaming myself, my I guess my toxicity of self blame, blaming myself so much of like particular things, you know, and like also as in like instead of saying sorry all the time, I could say thank you, like oh I think the number one I like number one I like was just like instead of saying sorry I'm late, being like yo thank you for understanding that um I'm late or thank you for thank you for your patience, you know, like thank you because like there's no need to explain why I'm late. You know, it's
Yeah.
like thank you for your patience, and then I'm understand. Like I feel like it devalues the sorry sometimes. Like if you say sorry, I'm late, because it makes us feel like we're blaming ourselves. And then I feel like sorry is used to devalue sorry, because sorry needs to be like something like, oh, I'm sorry for you, I'm sorry for your loss. You know, and that's even more death. And that's what sorry is supposed to be, or apology for disrespecting someone's boundary. Like I'm sorry that I said some things to hurt you, and that's like something real. And I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? So and then like
Yeah.
it grew to this, where it's just like I started playing my friends' music as a, just like some background music, and I was like, yo, could I play it? And then later they was just like, yo, you think you could interview me sometimes and be on your podcast? And I was like, really? Oh my god, okay. And then they was just like, oh, I'll interview this artist who's my friend. And then, oh, this other artist sounds cool too. And I'm listening to the radio, and I heard this person, it was like synchronicity. They were like playing their music and they're singing, and I was like, oh, I like this person. And then I got their Instagram, and I was like, oh, hey, can I interview you on Instagram? And then it just happened. Like everything was just been clicking. And then like every person that I've been talking to was with a reason. Like I'm not just talking or just making podcasts because I just want to, but it's with intention and depth. And like this podcast is, like you said, is like a milestone because now I'm here on Twitch, and then I'm gonna also have it on Anchor where we're talking about milestones and just like making things happen with time. So that's cool. I really like that. Just like you, and also now going into fully tapped in with Sanyee. How did you get to where you are now as a Hollywood star? Is this synchronicity? Is this these things that we've been talking about? Like this new T? All rhymed.
I really do love the face mask. Yeah, I'm gonna get one of your face masks, and I think my mom should too because she really loves the purple flowers. Then I texted her the link ASAP when I saw that from your merch store. Yeah, I guess for me in Hollywood, it's funny to look back on the journey and and try to chart those milestones along the way. And I think maybe one of the most common themes of being out here was just never letting anyone tell me that I couldn't do something. I was trying to figure out the more concise way of saying that. But I guess it's just, in a sense, I wouldn't let my decisions be dictated by other people's fears because I think a lot of people would give me advice that was fear based advice where it was just like, oh, why do you want to go to Hollywood? Asian actors aren't the leads. Like they're the supporting, like they're the extra. And why would you think you have a chance? And I was like, well, I think this person's giving me this advice because maybe they're afraid of my like financial stability and my future. So they're saying this because they care. But for me, I know that I would just rather not live with regret if I wasn't pursuing my dreams. And so, yeah, out here I'm pursuing acting, writing, and hosting. And a lot of times I'll look back at my hosting career too. And I just remember when I was little and I said things like, I want to be on Disney Channel and I want to be hosting on the red carpet at the Golden Globes, like next to Ryan Seacrest. And it's insane to think that I've been able to do that and just, be able to sit across from Tom Cruise or Ryan Gosling or Ryan Reynolds. And I think just a lot of that journey has been because again, I never let anyone else stop me from dreaming. And I think that's the most dangerous thing for when you are growing up. It's like if someone stops you from dreaming and tries to make you just like do this stable path or do things because you're worried about what other people might think, then that just really hinders you and like keeps you in this space. And I think I'm just grateful that my family always gave me like the territory to dream. And for me, like with the hosting, I actually started I'm very grateful because a lot of the mentors I had in the news journalism world, they were just like, oh, there's no way you could break into a Los Angeles like top 10 market because San Francisco, LA, Chicago, in New York, they're like all in the top 10 range. They're like, oh, you have to move to the middle of nowhere and just go do like news reporting work on like cows in the field or something. And I was just like, no, I can go to LA. Like, why wouldn't I go to LA and try to make it? It's almost just like when people try to warn you about things, it doesn't click with me because I'm just like, well, why wouldn't I try? Like, why would I let your experiences affect the way I try to live my life? It's almost like if someone told you, like, oh, don't design your own clothes unless you've gone to art school. then it's just like, why would you listen to them? Because you're like, I know I love to create and I love to imagine. So I think for me, it's just like, yeah, life is about having your own adventures. And it is good to listen to maybe the wise insights that other people have had. But I think everyone's journey is just so unique. Everyone's going to take setbacks and hardships a different way, and that reminds me of like one of the books I'm writing right now too, that was inspired by it's just everything that's happening in the world right now, where I'm writing this like superhero dystopian novel, and I'm just talking about how what differentiates a hero from a villain is when you experience a difficulty, and you can either choose the path of resilience or the path of resentment. And I think it's really hard for a lot of people who experience failure or rejection to not feel resentment. And then when you grow up and you build that resentment over time, it leaks into other parts of your life that prevent you from being happy. Whereas if you choose the path of resilience or even the path of resistance, then you get stronger along the way, and then you get happier. Because I think for you and me, like we've talked about this too, where you said back in high school there was someone you knew, or maybe multiple people you knew, who were like, I don't like Sanyee because she seems too happy all the time. And I guess it's funny that someone would say that, because I had a very difficult childhood then. Like my family moved around all the time. We'd never owned our own home. We were like living in the basements of landlords in San Francisco. Like there was mold growing in the bathrooms. Like at one point we had to stay with my grandma, who was living at this senior apartment complex, and we had to just pretend we were visiting her because we had nowhere to live. And so I remember the water was shut off at 10 p.m. every night at that complex. But what was just like really, I guess, comforting for me was being able to have my mom and my sister. And I remember we like shared one big bed together, and I slept in the middle of them. And I guess I always felt very like cocooned and safe around them. And that's why, yeah, it's like I grew up like very poor and just, never had a lot of material things, but I had the more intangible, like things that were valuable, like love and family and just joy from like friends and writing and library books. So I guess library books are very tangible. You can hold them. But I can guess it's just like for me, yeah, happiness was never dependent on, yeah, just on attaining things. It was just happiness. I could find happiness from anything. It just find happiness through like breathing and the little adventures in everyday life. And that almost reminds me of quarantine again, because
Yes.
I'm happiness from like taking out the trash, and I found like a cool table that one of my neighbors was giving away, and I was like, if I hadn't walked outside and taken out the trash, I wouldn't have got this new table, and I
Yes.
needed a new table to put all my mail on. So it's just like finding the little joys. Or when I was like going to the grocery store, but the DoorDash guy was coming, and then I just ran to go meet him, and I made it, and he didn't leave with my food. So I was like really happy about that. It's like those little things. You just
Yeah.
like you realize the purpose and reasons behind things.
I like that you talk about and you mention about how these happiness, these little things, and you find reason with them, because that just speaks within so much of like what I've been seeing. Like when we journal or when we talk about it, we see these patterns, and then we're like, oh, it's just is this just a happening, or is there a reason? And then that's when I was just like, when I've been seeing these things too, and when I see like little things as well, or like when I popped up my phone and I saw the number 555 or 333 or something like that, I'm like, oh, what is this? How come I've been seeing this within like repetition? And then I was like, is this a pattern of, or like what? And then I started looking it up, and I was just, this is when a time when I was going to like also exploring spiritual, like just Christian faith, and I started going to a Buddhist temple. Like I looked it up, and it was saying that it means that there's angels around you, or just like
Wow.
it means that it's like you're in the path of where you're meant to be. And when you see those things, it's like keep going, because that's where you're supposed to be. You got that reason. And that's what it was when I learned of synchronicity. I'm like, wow, it's a pattern. And I'm like, what the hell is synchronicity? And that was this year. And I was like, what is this? And it said it's not a coincidence. It are things. They are things that get you to where you want to be. And I'm like, whoa, you know. And it's like listening to you. You're telling me all these things, and it got you to where you are. And it sounds like there are so many more things that are you're looking for, and I'm excited for you because it sounds like you're always been there.
Yeah, yeah, I am really excited to see more Asian representation in like TV and films, and I'm just really grateful for the progress that I've seen in the last couple of years out here in LA. And so I am thankful that there's progress because I can understand why maybe other actors in the past may have quit if they just realized that it was hard. And I think, yeah, at the end of the day, you always have to have this like really innate, like God given drive that where you just have to believe in yourself even when the odds feel stacked against you, because I think your biggest enemy and your biggest critic can be yourself, and then if you let your mind win in a negative way, then that will affect like the trajectory of events that happen after. And well, it's funny going with adventures in quarantine, actually my internet went out and my plumbing went out and my power went out, but
Oh
all on
man.
3 days, thankfully not all at the same time. Otherwise, I probably would have like gone crazy. But yeah, and so each of those felt like an adventure too. Because actually, like, I'm actually really afraid of the dark, and the lights went out at 2 a.m. And I got so scared, and I was just like not knowing what to do. And then I walk out of my bedroom and I see that the balcony window is open. I was like, I feel like I'm in some like 90s horror movie because I was on the phone with my mom on my bed alone. And then I go out and I see the balcony open. I'm like, oh, wait, no, I opened that because I made salmon earlier today. And then
Yum,
I
that
was
sounds good.
yeah, and then I was less scared. And then the lights came back on, and then I was just like, wait, now I have to reset all the clocks and the digital devices, and that's even scarier than being in the dark because I have no idea how to reset my microwave clock or my other clock. So I was just like, yeah, it's funny how I went from being like, oh yeah, this like really scary thing happened, but then you get through it with humor. I feel.
Yes, I totally agree. Like I remember I don't know, like they say medicine, what the best medicine is like laughter. And like when you're so
Yeah.
really sad, it's like a defense mechanism or coping strategy that we just do. Like I think that's how I got through with like that. Speaking on going back, retracting, is I know I'm digressing. Is like my friend when they were saying um like making jokes with me, and that was like my respecting my boundary. Like I would just laugh all the time, but instead of me laughing this time, it was just like, yo, I don't appreciate this joke because it's actually making me feel some type of way, and it's affecting me when it's constantly repeating this joke that's hurting me or whatever the way it would be. So I was like, wow, that's true. I was just laughing all the time to heal from someone's joke.
Yeah, I feel like in quarantine I've been finding the reasons to laugh because I'm like, well, if we don't laugh, then it just it'll just be silence
Yeah.
and yeah, and the antithesis of laughter, I guess, which is like crying. But
Yeah, that's true. And then which is good too also, right? Like it's the yin and the yang. It's like it's good to be happy and it's also good to be sad, like the movie Inside Out. I love that too. It's like the both sides of it, inside outside. Inside Out, did you watch it? I mean, I know you watch it, Disney Channel, right?
oh, I actually haven't seen it. That's the
What?
one. Yeah, that I've not seen. My mom really wants me to watch it though, because my mom saw it and really liked it.
If anyone has Disney Plus, we need to have like a Zoom blast with you. So like in SIC or something. Cause that movie is really good. That movie showed me that all the feelings that we have, it's okay whether we're be mad, angry, sad. like we have to feel it, or like we are here to feel it and accept it, because like without one feeling you don't have all the feeling. It's like a full circle. Like if we're
Yeah.
not, yeah, if we're not feeling that way, then there's just something missing, and it's like we're not giving a space and time to feel that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, the last boyfriend I had that everyone thought was a mistake when we played Jackbox games, and it's like, what's the dumbest mistake Sandy's made?
Who said that? Oh, in the game. You said that because oh yeah, I remember it. I wrote that in the game.
Yeah. Well,
Projecting? No, I'm just kidding.
and so he actually broke up with me because he said I was too mercurial, and mercurial
Oh yeah, I
means
remember you
just
said
like having like so many emotions and not being like, I guess, more stable with the emotions. But I really relate to what you say, because I think, especially as an artist for me, I think that there's just something really beautiful and colorful and vibrant about the whole spectrum of emotions we can feel. And like you said, you can't have one without the other. You can't experience great joy without great pain. And it's just like, oh yeah, I just remember every breakup is really difficult.
that. Uh
But
huh.
then when I overcome it, I definitely feel stronger. And I feel like the heart really is this muscle that just can rebound after a breakup when you find other like avenues to pour your like love into, whether that's like your work or your like revisiting friends and family again, and just remembering your community. I think it's like every time I've had a breakup, I feel like I've gained more than I've lost, which I'm like really thankful for. And I want to keep writing about love because I really like just exploring how intricate it is and how complex and how it just affects everyone in different ways. And whether that's like the love you have for yourself, the love you have for your career, the love you develop for like, yeah, a new partner in your life. It just, yeah, even love for a hobby. Yeah, or it just, I don't know, or even like love for my apartment. I feel like the longest relationship I've ever had in my life is with my apartment.
I
Like I
remember
would
you
never.
mentioned that before in our group hanging out.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's funny because I feel like my relationship with my apartment and my relationship with my jobs has just like lasted really long, and all my relationships with other people have only lasted like 6 months. Like any romantic relationship has only lasted 6 months, and then all my friendships have lasted like years and years. So at some point, I'm like, maybe I'm better off being friends with everyone and never like dating anyone. Like, if you want to stay in my life, be my friend. If you want to like leave in 6 months, like date me, is what I should just say from now on. That'd be funny if I did like a dating app profile and put those details in there.
That
Yeah.
reminds me of like some movies, or I don't know, like when you watch movies, or like I mean, I know I watched this YouTube film called, oh, by like, I think it was Just Kidding Films. They were talking about like, oh, there was a episode on, it was called Strangers Again, how like these folks just meet as strangers and then later they fall in love and then they were just strangers again. And I was like, oh, that's sad, like, as it's funny where like you see someone and then you meet them and then you fall in love so deeply, and then like later you're kind of getting distant and you're just like, I don't want to see them again. Is it just annoying or whatever? You know what I mean? Like that's what I saw from the video, and yeah, kind of, you're that reminded me. Just flipped the memory.
Yeah, well, it's almost like that song by Gautier that actually won Grammy Best Song of the Year, the "Somebody That I Used to Know" song.
Oh
I don't know if you,
yeah, I heard that on
right?
radio recently. Somebody I used to know.
Yeah, someone commented on YouTube and they're just like, "Oh no, now he's somebody that we used to know,"
Oh yeah,
because we haven't heard from him recently ever since then.
oh. And I like how
But
you were really just vulnerable, and then you posted it on Facebook. When I saw that, I was like, "Whoa, that's cool!" Like, and then like comment like, "Oh, congratulations," or like, "Oh, I'm happy for you," or whatever. Like, "Oh, we got a relationship," and then you were talking about like how exciting it was. They're
yeah,
taking your friends on a journey.
yeah, that
It's
was
cool.
a total first for me because I've never been comfortable with being like that public about
Yeah.
my private life on Facebook. Yeah, I think. it is such a funny territory these days with social media's intersection with relationships, where it's just like, oh, when do you publicize it, and when do you
You're
like
right.
in a relationship with, because then again it's just like it becomes so public. And I think what just it maybe differed with that experience was I just felt like I was at a place in my life where I wanted to use real life as inspiration for my art. And I think maybe to a degree I was like, oh, if we do break up, I want to be able to remember that there were good times too.
Yeah.
Like again, I don't want to have like resentment in my heart towards people. I don't want to have grudges. Like I want to remember when it was good and not feel sad that like we broke up. It's almost, yeah, like how everyone says, don't be sad that it's over, be happy that it happened.
Oh yeah, I know
And
that
I
quote.
Yeah, it's just like those little moments that are so magical when you're falling at the beginning. I think it's just really fun to document those, even though the breakup was so painful. But I think maybe just because I grew up really loving Taylor Swift and how vulnerable she can get in her songwriting, and just being like, okay, well, we've all known pain and we've all known suffering. And we all know how disappointing it can feel when something that you put a lot of your heart and hope into doesn't work out. But again, that's part of life, and it's like embracing life. And I just wanted to be open at that stage in my life where I was just like, yeah, it's almost like I was afraid of being public with it because I was afraid, what if it ends and people are just like, oh, she failed at making a relationship last, like, oh, she's successful in other parts of her life but she failed here. And then I realized, wait, no, it's never a failure. Then experiences and relationships and moments of vulnerability should never be seen as failure. Like they're always those stepping stones and milestones again.
Yeah. That's cool. I
Yeah.
really respect that. Just doing that. Like I I mean, like I'm thinking about it too, as in like the bloggers or vloggers that would just comment, or like that would do that, like talk about their boyfriend or even like their girlfriend on like videos. Um, there was another one that I saw, and then when they broke up, it was like really sad to see. And like it's cool because like folks, when you post about it, you have folks also that are, you know, there for you, as in like your followers, your folks in your social media. That's why I seen it like um a blogger who, was talking about their relationship. It's like very interesting because like now you're like a person not on the private but public, you know. So you do have this support of folks online, right? And then like for how about like if you're on private. So really, it's like what I'm trying to say is just like I see this person that I know who was in social media and posted it there, but how are they really feeling deeply in with the in? I mean, just inside themselves. It shows like they're. That's what social media is like really intriguing and interesting. Is like everyone could post anything. I could say
Yeah.
I'm in like Philippines right now. I could say, oh, I'm eating a coconut, and people will believe it. People, I could post like I'm like dating a celebrity or whatever, or like I'm whatever, and people will believe it because
Yeah.
that's just how it is, you know. So it's like
Yeah.
very whoa, mind blowing.
Even on April Fools, when I posted up like a Photoshop picture of myself with mint hair, everyone thought I dyed my hair, and they're just
Yeah,
like, "Oh, looks good." They're just like, "Oh, super hot." It's like, "Oh my gosh, should I like dye my hair for real if no one likes my actual hair color?"
yeah. So
But
it's misleading.
yeah, I really like what you're saying about how it's just, yeah, it adds such a different dimension than
Yeah.
like just publicize parts of your life. And I think what helped me through the breakup was when people I knew like were messaging me and saying like, oh, like you probably don't remember me, but we like were both assistants to our high school counselor, and I think you're a really great person and you'll get through this.
Ah.
And it
Wow.
yeah, it's nice that like people were coming out of the woodwork from other corners of my life just because they felt like, even though we hadn't talked in years, they were just like, oh, it's acceptable, it's okay for me to reach out because right now she's hurting. I know what it's like to be hurting, and if I can make her feel better, I will, overcome the initial anxiety or hesitation over how it might be awkward that we haven't talked in a while. And I think
Mm.
then that's like the beauty of connecting through your emotional journey in life. When, again, just in quarantine too, how all of a sudden people are okay with reaching out to people that they haven't talked to in a while, where it's just like, oh, all of a sudden we have something that's just like connecting all of us together. This being forced to be inside and being
Yeah.
afraid of a raging virus
Yeah.
outdoors. Yeah, like we all feel fear, we all feel pain, we're all feeling anxiety, and we can all be here for each other no matter how many years have passed. And
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, I'm a person, you're a person, we both want to talk and reconnect. Yeah, and that's like so human and beautiful. And I think that's something I really want to do in the industry too, where I want to tell these stories and write these scripts, these romantic comedies with Asian American female leads, but I don't want it to be about like I love Crazy Rich Asians, but I'm just like, I don't want the race to be so front and center. I just want it to be a romantic comedy about two people who fall in love, and it just happens that, like, they're like minorities. It just happens, but we all know love. Like, we all know what it's like to just be crushing on someone and then hoping and then misunderstanding and shenanigans, and then it ends up working out. I'm like, yeah, why can't we just see that as such a universal story? And I think that's what like draws me to keep on writing like fun rom-coms.
Yo, okay, let me see. Let me ask my girlfriend if it's okay to share my story, and I'll send it to you. Then we can make that story happen. A romantic comedy and coronavirus time, yo. Cause like you just spoke on it, of all the levels.
Yeah, no, I've been very public about having a crush on someone in quarantine. I remember I told you and all of our friends, like the rap that I put together and the song that I wrote. Yeah, then I had a crush on someone in quarantine. And it was just inspiring me so much to write all these song lyrics because I feel like, we're so separated. And yet you wake up and you think about this person and you just wonder what they're doing, and you're like, are they wondering what I'm doing right now too? And I love it. I think writing about just again the falling part and the all the factors that are in your way, all the obstacles, it's just like it's so fun.
Yeah,
And yeah, I'm so curious about your story, but that's cool that you like, yeah, got a relationship in quarantine, and then
yeah,
our other friend Linda got a new job in quarantine. So I was just like, wow, everyone's so productive
yeah.
in quarantine.
It's just exciting, like what you were saying, and then I was just like, man, there's just so many stories out there, and I was like, kind of like wanting to document mine, and just like, I mean, I do, like, I mean, I do like posting a lot, and then you know me, I post a lot of pictures and selfies, and then like, my partner right now is like kind of the opposite, or like they have like not, they don't like post everything as much, or they don't post as much, and then like they my partner like some like she had a hard time posting even like a selfie with me, and then like when I saw it that they posted something with me with just to my surprise, I was just like, oh, this is exciting that this person is posting about me, and this is when we're just friends, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Or like even prior to quarantine, we're just friends and we're just speaking on things of vulnerability of like why we feel the way we feel, or like for me, I was going through something that I was going through with my other friends, or like just work stuff, and then they were going through something too, and then like just little bits of like coming into like, oh, I want you to be my best friend. I think you're my best friend. Blah blah. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't think I'm ready for that yet to call you my best friend. I have like this guy friend. He's kind of my best friend, and I just kind of lost him as my best friend. So I don't know yet. And then like later, I was like, oh, the more we hang out and we do some like things that are like very monumental, like, oh, they're bringing me food to work. I'm like, wow, someone's bringing me food to work. J Ray eats. I love food. Okay, I feel some type of way. I never had anyone bring me food to work before. Like this is giving
Yeah.
me some feelings. Like, oh, I see that. I appreciate that. Or like how like prior to COVID-19, this person, I mean like my girlfriend like brought me to their house because just to like, oh, I was just like, oh, you're really bringing me to your house? And they're like, yeah, you're my friend. Of course, I'm gonna bring you to my house. And then their dad was there, and their like grandma was there. I was like, oh, hi, hi. Like, and they're like, oh, you say Joe-san? I'm like, what, for real? All right, Joe-san, Joe-san. And I'm like sitting down, and then like, oh, just like watching like UFC, and then they asked me if I want a beer. I'm like, oh, okay. And then that was it. And then like later, it just was just a bunch of other things, which was just cool. And then COVID-19, yes, like you're right, like all these other feelings. Like, oh, now I feel like writing poetry. Like this person just supposed to be my friend. We're not supposed to date, and then later it just happens. You know, like how does this happen? Or like I start to feel, or they start to feel. We both start to feel, and then I'm starting to write these poems just like you write your raps, and then boom, like all of a sudden I was like, yo, I think I want to go out with, I know I want to go out with you, you know, and then they're like, um, yeah, but like, let me think about it first. Like, oh, I know I really wanted to be this way and I wanted to head there. And then, yeah, it just went that way. And I'm like glad and grateful that it went to those little steps of just like meeting from like a Muay Thai gym a long time ago. And then we seeing each other briefly, like, oh, at a different like time, and then seeing another time, and then hey, I see you right now. Or like, oh, it was me. Remember you were talking about, you posted about like a relationship, or you post something and then people connect, you know? For me, I was
Yeah.
like posting a lot of things, and then like I was adding a bunch of people that I don't even know on Facebook because I was really just mad and I wanted somebody, just somebody to hear me. And then like I added her, and then we just were like, oh, I know you, and then just connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
So
pretty
again,
funny.
you guys knew each other before quarantine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. What was funny was, so with my quarantine crush,
Right.
then what was funny was, so we knew each other before quarantine too.
Mm.
And then the thing is, he like actually gave me a ride back to my apartment in January, and then had to leave for work. Had to leave like to a different country, to like London for
Whoa.
work for a couple of months. And then what was so funny was that in that car ride that we had, then I remember I like pulled up right in front of the driveway of my apartment garage, and then I was just like, oh, I want to sit and talk with him more, but he is like parked in the middle of my driveway, which probably means he wants to leave. And I'm like, I'm afraid cars are coming in and out, and we're blocking the way. And so I remember it being really awkward and just like, okay, well, have fun in London, bring back stories, bring back memories for us. Like, see you when you get back. Cool, bye. And then I like ran out of his car. At one point, I had left the car door like wide open too, because I was like half in and half out of his car and still talking to him, and like still keeping an eye on the cars are coming out. It was like so fucking awkward. Sorry, language. But yeah.
No, no,
And
explicit material.
and then what happened was, I'm like walking up the stairs to my apartment, and I get in front of my apartment. I'm like, ugh, why didn't I just talk to him more? I'm like,
Oh.
I wish I could talk to him more. And so what's funny was that a couple of weeks ago, he actually FaceTimed me, and we've been hanging out too over Zoom with friends on game nights and stuff. And he actually admitted that he was just like, yeah, I think about that car ride in January too. And the whole time I was driving back from Hollywood to Santa Monica, I was thinking, man, why didn't I try to kiss her? And then I was like, wow, okay, I'm kind of bored, but okay. And then I just thought it's so funny that both of us were sitting on this for 6 whole months.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that we were both like on Zoom. We would pin each other's faces and like take screenshots.
Oh, did you send it to each other?
No, no. Well, I sometimes I just like tell him, I'm like, oh yeah, I took screenshots of your face.
Not creepy at all. No, I'm just kidding.
But again, it feels like love in the time of coronavirus, and love in the
Yeah.
time of where you're just like, this is what's resorted to. And then like after the game night, sometimes I look at my screenshots and go, oh, this is so cute. This is so candid. Oh, this is his thinking face. Oh,
You making your own emojis with his face.
yeah.
That's
Uh,
cute.
yeah. So I'm just, yeah, it's like, it's nice that he's like this too. But I was asking another guy friend, I was like, why did it take 6 months for him to admit this? And then my guy friend was just like, oh, he probably was hesitant about like ruining the friendship that you guys have too. And oh, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's, yeah. We'll see what happens.
Wait, who
I'm
said
excited.
what first?
Huh?
Who
What?
admitted first? The
Who
picture
admitted?
you?
Well, I guess he FaceTime called me at like midnight, and then I was just like, okay, this is interesting, because in the past we only ever hung out in a group on Zoom, and like we have messaged each other a little bit on Instagram, Like, yeah, then I just, yeah, it was funny that he like FaceTimed me, and then he was just telling me that I looked nice on the Zoom
Oh.
earlier that night. And then I think for me, I was just like, okay, this is kind of a now or never. And I'll just say, hey, remember when you gave me a ride in January? And then he was like, yeah, I think about that too. And then I was just like, whoa, okay. And then it was like really interesting that he was kind of beating himself up about it, that he didn't try to, I guess, like make a move or ask for my number more that night.
Wait, Sanyee, is it okay that this is being recorded? Because this is might he might see it.
Oh,
I
sorry.
mean, who is he? Do you think he's gonna listen to this all the way to the end? Okay, okay. I mean, like, it's quarantine and people are staying in. Maybe he does have the time to listen to your podcast.
It's fine,
Okay, wait,
yeah.
wait, wait. What would he say? What would he say if, like, he did see this? Or what would you feel or think?
I think he would be flattered. Yeah, he would
Okay.
probably just be like, "Oh, that's nice that she's like thinking about me." Because I think yeah, yeah, it's just yeah, it's funny. I guess yeah,
That's good. I mean, as long as you're comfortable with that. That's
yeah.
cool. It's so
I
cute.
don't know if he would watch Twitch. Oh, maybe he would.
I mean, cause
Yeah.
I'm gonna tag you later, or if you want
Oh,
me to,
oh,
I could untag you so it's not seen.
oh no, no, yeah, totally tag me. I just yeah, I think yeah,
Now you're
yeah.
thinking about it, huh? Rabbit holes, rabbit holes. No, I'm playing. My bad. I think that'll be a cool. That'll just be funny if that does happen. I mean, if it doesn't, it's okay. If it does, it's okay. Right? Everything is okay.
Yeah, yeah, everything is totally okay. I think, yeah, again, I think anyone is flattered
Yeah.
when they're talking about it, as long as it's not in a negative light.
No, honestly, like I mean, yeah, you're right. I feel like this is what I learned also with like the things that I've been thinking about during quarantine is like no matter what happens, like whether it be this path that we take or another path that we take, we're still going to the same destination, and like we're still gonna learn a lesson, and we're still gonna experience whatever we experience, like that relationship or like whatever that job that we take or whatever thing that we decide will still be okay. And I feel like that's what I've been thinking. And now we like how you said go with the flow of the path of less resistance or to go with the flow. I mean, it made me the thought of the like things that I was looking up like Tao of like just going with the flow or Wu Wei of the flow. And I feel like we will be okay no matter what we do or yeah. It's like a
Yeah,
mindset detachment.
yeah, well, exactly what you said. You know, that's how I was pitching one of my TV show ideas, where I think I told you it just follows this this girl who like takes Uber and Lyft everywhere in LA, very much based on my own experiences. Because at first in the story she's very self-centered and just like always on her phone while she's driving, like if she takes a selfie or she's live streaming, and then she causes this massive accident and gets her license revoked and has to take Uber and Lyft everywhere. And
Hmm.
as she starts to take these ride shares, she begins to put down her phone and live offline and learn more about the stories of these people she's carpooling with or who are driving her. And I just said in my pitch that life is like a carpool because we're all coming from different backgrounds and experiences and values and different stages of our lives, but we're all going towards the same destination and we're all trying to find our purpose or overcome disappointment and sadness and rejection or find love. And it's like, it's just so intrinsic. It's like, yeah, we're all heading towards like, trying to determine our purpose and our legacy at the end of the day. And so it's all the same destination. Yeah, no matter what political affiliation you are or what religion you are, it's like we all again come from these different places, but we're getting picked up along the way, and just going with the flow, like you said.
Yeah.
And how we react to our circumstances is just, I guess, what separates our human experience.
Yeah. And that's our spiritual journey. We have our own path, and we see each other. We could be hand in hand, next to each other. One person, I feel like there's no one that's above one another. It's just that we're hand to hand, and we're going to that destination. Like, it's just there's many like lefts and right, and it's okay. And like you said, that you think about this post, and if he sees it, he sees it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm kind of an open book, and
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
me, I want to like ascend higher in Hollywood. So someday, whoever dates me, they know their private life is going to be splashed on the front page along with mine too. So anyone
Yeah.
who dates me needs to understand that. That's just part of the career I've chosen.
Yeah, that's really good what you said. Like, this is who you are, and I mean, you're not gonna change for the other person. No one should do that, right? Like, they're gonna
Right.
be who they are, and you're gonna be who you are, and that's how you compromise with each other in your relationship. And you're not gonna compromise yourself, but you compromise and always constantly choosing the other because y'all love each other.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what love and romantic partnership is, or even in a friendship, love in a friendship. And if that friendship does not coexist with like the respect boundaries, then okay, sayonara, or like distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
You got
Yeah.
to dissect that really clearly, and I was just like, oh, this is some good stuff. Actually, we're just dissecting so many things right now, and I really enjoy that. That's like we talk about our experiences and just hang out right here, and that's just gonna. Oh, I just want to let you know too. The time it's 8:29, and we're about I
Oh,
think 1 hour and 25 minutes in or so. So I just want to let you know. I know we're talking and we're like having so much fun, and I'm learning. I mean, like hearing our stories is fun because like I feel like this podcast is legit. We're speaking on our spiritual journey, sharing and being vulnerable. So I am really thankful. Yeah, cool. Just checking in with your time. If you're okay, if you want to go.
yeah. Yeah, I'm still good.
Okay.
Yeah,
What are
still
other
good.
things that you wanted to talk about? Like that was cool. We spoke on the coronavirus and how it was affecting us, and then our uh and our upbringing. You spoke on that, and then like Hollywood and how like there you spoke on so many cool things. I liked it. The myths of Hollywood and being an Asian American. That is dope. And then like even you spoke on relationships, and then yeah, well, and then you speaking on your journey, like what are some things on like these. Oh, I think you gave it a lot. Also, like you go gave some words of wisdom and also inspiration. Like I did things for me. It's like you fought the ego. Like I'm doing things. I mean, you put it aside because like just because of sometimes what other people say to you or criticize you, you do it because you do it because your intrinsic value of what you want, and you always constantly fought for that. Very cool. And you spoke on where your upbringing was and how friendships are. That was just really brief. I mean, our that's overview of what we spoke about. Yeah,
Well,
that's
that's
really
just
cool.
remembering
Spoke
that
about
you're
a
like,
lot.
yeah, we have an outline for the podcast. Like you didn't have like questions prepared. You're like, we're just gonna flow, and
And
then you like already remembered everything that we talked about.
thank you. I know. I really did that.
Yeah, it was good. Good summary.
I don't know
Oh
how I
my
did
god.
that. I just did it though.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have been able to do that because I feel like we jump from so many topics.
Yo, it was just me being present, I guess. Like sometimes I notice when I'm being really present and mindful and just like listening to others. That's what I really try to get to in the zone when I'm like practicing. That's why I'm learning active listening, which was a trait I didn't have before. I mean, I did have, but like I didn't practice as much, and that's when I learned people didn't like me or disliked me when I wasn't listening to them. And
Mm.
when I got hurt, and that's the antithesis, right? Of like you said before, is like I wasn't able to like listen. No, I wasn't. No one heard me before. Like I felt like some heard me, and some supported me, but getting not receiving the love and support from the people that I thought would be there for me hurt me the most. And then
Yeah.
that's why I am able to cry now. I'm able to feel my feelings, feel my femininity, feel my masculinity, and accept without inhibition or my own toxicity, and speak on my spiritual value of wanting to hear others. Like it's also in my faith. When I grew up as a Catholic, they said in the song of the Beatitudes was seek to understand versus to be understood. And that's why
Mm.
I create this podcast. It was first for me to be understand, to others for
to understand me, but now I want to seek also to understand other people, you know, and like
Yeah.
you, why do you do the things you do and how you get there, and what you're doing is my three things on my podcast or my Jerry Don't Play is to self-express, which you are doing and we are doing now, and inspiring you inspire me through what you're expressing, and to empower, and you're empowering me, and we empower not just ourselves but others. So I'm very thankful to have you right here hitting all three. I value all of the stuff that you shared, and yeah, your friend, our friendship, and our connection, and what you do for your community, because you're being an Asian American already doing so much, and even being vulnerable with relationship. Not a lot of people are able to do that, like sharing it. Yeah, so
Yeah, no,
thankful.
actually, something you said then made me think of a really cool potential slogan too. It's like self-express, don't second guess.
Sorry, the cop. I mean, the cop car is passing by. I do this Santa Claus. Thanks. Give good vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so yeah, I think self-express, don't second guess.
Oh,
I think that's something I've learned because looking back on my upbringing, I think there were a lot of times where I was just like, oh, why didn't I do this? Oh,
I'm
I
gonna write
should
that
have
down.
done. But okay, well, yeah, in life, you can't second guess yourself because I guess what you were telling me, I guess I first guess, not second guess, but I first
I guess that's really good. You caught that. Really cognizant of what you're even expressing. See, wow, that was really good. That's being mindful, and I've been practicing that too. Being mindful and present with what we just say, not just by automatic, but also like, what did I just say?
it's like automatic, yeah,
Yeah.
not autopilot, but automatic, and well, so it's just like when you said being present, I think as an actor, as a writer, as an artist, and for you as a creator, interviewer, designer, it's so important to be present, to be there for your art, and then be present in your experiences that you're drawing from. And then in acting, it's also so important to not second guess yourself. And I think in writing, it is also equally important to not second guess yourself, to just go with it and have that stream of consciousness so you get it all out there. And then once it's out there, you can sculpt from there. And I think yeah, a lot of times, even in relationships, you could second guess and be like, well, why did I date this person in the first place if it wasn't going to work out? But you can never think like that because all you can do is just like respect the decisions that you made. That the present you can respect the decisions that the past you made because it will shape the future you.
Yeah, wow. Respect the decisions you make. I highly agree to that, because
Yeah.
when we respect the decisions that we make, that's also like when we detach from whatever that happens. Because if we are fully attached with, like, oh, now this is gonna happen because I did that, we have to let go and let in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's always a balance, and that's why I really like the concept of yin yang, of like being happy with both sides, you know, like how they even say, don't be sad that it's done, but be happy that for that it happened or whatever. Like, it's good to be also to be sad that it's done, and also to be sad that it that you can't make more memories, because like now you like understand that there's both sides to it, like a coin. And people, I feel like, I mean, like in a lot of quotes, they're always just one side. But when we flip the switch, I feel like you're like, oh wow, I never thought of it that way. Where it's like I can feel both sides, and if we, I think if we stick to one side just too much, there's a toxicity in that in itself. Like, as in, I never knew the concept of toxic positivity, and I was like, wow, this is a thing where I'm only constantly hiding the negative feelings I have and suppressing it under a rug and sweeping it on the bush. Like, oh, I'm just gonna be positive that the next relationship will be that. I mean, not that. Sorry, or maybe that too. Just anything, like my next thing, my like negative positive. I mean, like, oh, I'm not hurt, I'm not sad, I'm just good, I'm good. But not even like looking at the emotion of why I feel sad that something happened, and like reflecting on it to become better, you know, just quick to move on without really slowly like understanding the lesson that was given from that experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get
Yeah,
at. The lesson.
yeah, yeah. And again, the present you should respect the decisions that the past you made will shape the future you. That
Yeah.
it's, you said synchronicity of like the past affects your present, or your present perspective affects your future very much.
Yeah.
Your present perspective on your past affects your future. I think, and like you said, learning to let go. Like even in quarantine, I've been cleaning a lot, and I'm such a hoarder. I think it comes from being raised in an immigrant family and thinking everything we must save because we don't know when we're going to be able to like have more of this or afford more of this, and always saving for a rainy day. I think I just grew up thinking that everything was necessary. And I think also on a deeper level, like you saw my Instagram story too, that time I was kind of reflecting on my dad at the time of coronavirus because
Uh-huh.
I just, the last time I was done was when I was 8 years old. And so at this time, sometimes I do wonder, like, oh, is he okay? Is he safe? Like, is he safe from the virus? Is he quarantining?
Yeah.
Is he reflecting on his own decisions? But it took like cleaning my apartment and learning to throw things away to respect just I guess the decisions that my family made when I was younger, because I think like to a degree my dad probably felt like he wasn't adequately equipped to have the space or the energy or the resources to have our family in his life anymore. And it's kind of like what you said too. I remember you told me you're just like, oh, when you're not blaming someone but just realizing that maybe at the time they didn't have the ability. And so
Yeah.
appreciate that and respect that. And like maybe he knew to an extent too that our family would be lighter without him, that it would be easier for us. And so it's almost like throwing things away. Where I'm like, I have limited space in my apartment. I can't hang on to all this like old stuff that I really don't have the capacity. And I know things are not people and vice versa, but I just like, I'm just like in life, if you hang on to everything from your past, you're just never going to have space or room to grow in the present and future. And I think, it just, even with emotions, I have to learn to let go of a lot of like resentment from the past, or,
Hmm.
I can't hold on to anger. Like if I'm hoarding emotions, if I'm hoarding joy and I'm hoarding anger and I'm hoarding like disappointment, it becomes too burdensome. And you have to like just feel your emotions as they come and then let them go and not like just internalize them so deeply like you said
Yeah.
and suppress them.
I really like how you reflected like that. I did not know that thought came to your mind. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like me just talking about what I was talking about, and then you reflected it about your dad and how people are going through things, and inner struggle, and why do we do the things we do. Like
Yeah,
that's deep, because I thought it wasn't in my head. I mean, I don't know what's in your head, until people talk about it, right? And then when we ask questions. So when you did that, that was you just getting really vulnerable. And I like that. I mean, you did that. And it also sheds me, it like seeing you unshackle, or like just like, what do you call it? Unarmor yourself, disarmor. Like it makes me want to feel that way too, of like how you communicated that emotions, if we hoard it, it's kind of like you dissecting yourself, as in your personality, like, oh, am I a hoarder because of, well, why, what's the reason? And then you're like, because kind of like fear of abandonment, maybe, I don't know, correct me if wrong, fear of
yeah,
abandonment. So I gotta keep these things because I'm scared if it's gone, and yeah, I won't have anything anymore. And then like thinking about me is like, I feel safe and able to communicate that, like in relationships for me, I didn't really just, whenever like there would be something like close to a relationship for me, I would just like kind of wouldn't accept it, or
mm-hmm.
like if it would come to me, I would just like not, chase it as much. And like I wouldn't like say accept it too, because I feel like when someone says I love you to me, like I didn't really like understand, because like I didn't really feel like I didn't receive that from my parents. Like
Mm-hmm.
having to go to my spiritual journey, speaking of, is like um how I went to a mental institution back in like 2009. And like I guess sometimes holding on to the feelings and emotions that I was mentally institutionalized because I was considered like a danger to myself and others, and I felt like I was wrongfully like kept in like that, and then like not, and then having to be under like family therapy for a year and not hear I mean hearing not hearing like I love you from my parents was something that affected me, and then like to hear it like from a person, it felt like I would communicate it as gay, like, oh, this is so weird, like even if a guy say it to me like, oh, this is gay, blah blah blah, we don't say stuff like that, so like concept of love to me would be like bleh. Then that I icky because I didn't like to hear that. And if I would get that from my parents, like I don't want to love them before because they would communicate it in a way like of I'm sorry, so I love you for what I did, and I couldn't really forgive. And I think that was something very hard for me to do, is like being able to forgive. And when I received love, like in my new partner, like it took me a long time, took me a while, and I was like, "What the hell is love? Like, I don't really get it." And then I googled it and stuff, and then you even spoke a little, you touched base about it a little bit. You're like saying love is also with your friends in your job or something that you do, and then I was like reflecting. I'm like, oh, I love it too. Like when I travel or like I'm volunteering or I'm working, helping youth, rediscover themselves and how to become better. And like working with kids with autism, it's like finding why they do the things they do so I could help them be better, being their ally or advocate. And
Yeah.
stating that is just like, oh, that's why I couldn't really receive or accept, or like, that's why it was hard for me to like just make a relationship for myself before, or like even go fall into a relationship, because I couldn't really just give love or accept love because I had to heal for myself and find love
Ooh.
for myself. And then I think that's where it came up to this new relationship that I'm in. And I'm like, whoa, I dissected that just from talking with you just right now. Processing.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great.
Stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, thanks for sharing your vulnerability too.
Oh wait, I think
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Like I processed that right now, but I did communicate this with my partner during our time of like, that, oh, like just getting up to where it is at now, like communicating our vulnerabilities and communicating our past so we both know each other, of like why do we do the things we do. Like I
Yeah.
started doing this like because how I told you briefly, like I started adding random people on Facebook. Like I did that, and then people would like say, oh, I think I know you as my friend, blah blah blah. I just communicated that, yo, I'm hella mad right now, blah blah blah. And or like even if I met people in like in the street, like I was volunteering, I remember on I think December with United Players, and then they were like giving food to the community. This lady was like, hey, what's your Facebook, let's take a selfie. And then I was just like, oh yeah, okay. And I'm like, but if you add me on Facebook, I'll tell you now that like I post hella shit and I'm kind of crazy, so if you want to accept me, you accept me for my crazy. And I'm like, and they were like, oh, I don't care, it's okay, I don't worry. And then I'm like, really? And then when people
Yeah.
really accepted me for me, like I was just like, wow, there's actually people that do accept me for me. And some of my friends that don't, or like don't even care to communicate, sometimes I understand now, like that's just some of my friends, it's not like everybody, you know
Yeah.
everyone's different.
Well, I think it almost, reminds me of how back when I was going through the bad breakup and then really publicizing every moment of pain that came with it too, like every thought coming through my head in like poetry form. And I think it helps me almost overcome this like anxiety I used to have with social media, where I did used to be worried about posting and like curating everything to look good and have the image that like things are positive, like you said, the toxic positivity, and to be like, oh, let me only share happy things. Oh, let me not like bring down my Facebook profile or my Instagram with like stuff that's unhappy. But then I just came to embrace that we're multi-dimensional people, and so yeah,
Yes.
other accept that. Yeah, and it's like you shouldn't just yeah expect that everyone on social media will only post the good. And I think if ever now everyone's realizing that life is hard and
Yeah.
it's okay to be honest about how you're really feeling. And it just, again, it's like, it brings up that deeper connection of, oh, because usually if someone just sees me being happy all the time, and if they're not happy all the time, then maybe it could be triggering for them, where they're just like, oh, like she seems so happy, but then I don't know where, like, how I can be that happy too. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
this
no,
inner probably feeling for them. Sorry to interrupt.
oh no, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I guess it's just, and then I'm like, no, I know exactly how you feel. I have my on days, I have my off days, I have my good days, I have my bad days. And so, like, again, we're all just so human, and don't let, like, just a presentation of self cause this barrier
Yeah,
between us. And I'm like, then the more we could bring that wall down and be vulnerable,
yeah.
like you said, then the closer everyone can be to connecting. Even though with like quarantine Zoom calls and stuff, being able to see the backgrounds of people's houses
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff feels like more vulnerable too. Where it's like, oh,
definitely.
this is your like home life. Like you're not just buttoned up at work in the like office or in the conference room. It's just like, no, this is like your space and you're letting me into it. Like, thank you.
It's really humanizing and humbling. I feel
Yeah,
like
I
that's what
love
it
that.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that. It does make me a little self conscious about my bed though. I've had like
Uh,
my blankets and my sheets for 7 years. I'm like, maybe I should make them more colorful if my bed's just gonna be in my background for all
so
my Zoom
when
calls.
you said that, I thought about it. I'm like, maybe I should just like put like a J Ray don't play the big black screen. But yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
It's dope.
yeah, backdrop.
Yeah, backdrops. I think I need to buy a green screen. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. That'd be good. That'd be really good for like Zoom calls too.
yeah.
You could change your green screen to a
That's
lot of things.
yeah. That's I think I'm gonna get that. That's probably my next purchase. I look forward to that. I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like just doing this right now, I did not know how it would work out or play out or if it would go well. And honestly, like this is sick. Like I was fixing this whole thing today right before I went with, I mean, I got you in this podcast. I never had this background. I never had your name like that. And then I was doing the transitions and it just works really well. And I'm just hella excited and I'm thankful that I got to be present and mindful with you today. And yeah, like I don't know what else to say. What else do you look forward to, Sanyee? Like yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to just like trusting myself so much more than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
And trusting myself, whether it is to say no with the boundary setting, or trusting myself in all the decisions I make, like we said, not second guessing, and just, yeah, trusting myself to be able to survive difficulties. Because I think so much of my life, like, I celebrated a birthday recently. So much of my life before, when I was like growing up, I think I was just clinging on to the happiness because I was afraid when it would end, and I would be living in this heightened state of anxiety
Oh.
that things would go bad. And I was just like, oh, I want to capture all this joy and document it, and like, yeah, take so many pictures and everything. But then I just realized that now it's just, we can't control for when circumstances will change. That all we can control is how we go about surviving everything, whether that is surviving the happiness or surviving the pain. And
Wow.
it's just, yeah, accepting that both, just like you said, the yin and the yang, it's just like so instrumental
Mm-hmm.
to life, both pain and joy. And there were a lot of times, again, when I was younger, where I was afraid of the pain because maybe deep down I was afraid that I would be ill equipped to handle like disappointment or rejection or like failure. But now I'm just like, no, it's just, you have to be open and unafraid to live your life no matter what comes. And I think we are all hopefully learning that too. What we're adapting, like we are people who evolve, and we can metamorphosize
Mm.
however we like. And like, it's like, change is good, and sometimes change, yeah, oftentimes change is very necessary, because why else would we be put on this earth? Like, we're not here to live these monotone lives. We're
Mm.
here to be dynamic. And so yeah, I'm just very much looking forward to like taking more risks in my career, to betting on myself, more leaps of faith, and just like believing in my art Because as an artist, it is hard, and you are creating a lot, and you're just hoping that like someone will believe in you and your work, whether that's like a director believing in an actor and casting them in a project, or a production company buying your script that you write, or a publisher wanting you to write your novel. It's just like you're constantly having these ideas and hoping that they'll take off, and all the time you spend on these ideas is like unpaid time, and you're hoping it pays off. But I think for me, it's been a lot of just rediscovering the joy of creating for the sake of creating, and knowing that like these thoughts are in my head, I want to get them out. Even when I'm just connecting with people via Instagram stories, that makes me really happy. So I just,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
so good.
yeah, just like, making people laugh, or like think, or just consider what's happening in their lives too. It's nice to share. Like, I like sharing. I just want to keep making people happy as I, get older and keep growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you were writing a story on your Instagram, and then it's kind of. I know there's an app where you click and click and click, and then it goes to the next line or next page. And then when you're on your story, on your IG story, you're actually making it a legit story, like a storybook. And then I just thought of that, and I'm like, click, 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 reading line after line, and I'm like, wow, this is so exciting. What is the next line gonna be? Because I'm reading it, and then there's just like also music in the background, like you're playing it like a legit script. So I feel like if you save that and then even just send it to like your, I mean, that could be like your legit things that you also like create. I mean, that is already something that you're already creating, but I mean, like, if you want to like add it into one of your other job postings, or even these apps that you could write a story to, because like it's so
Ooh.
cool. Yeah, like I like that. I like looking at some people's stories. I know another person, she writes quizzes on her story, like ABC, 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 and then I'm like, click, click. Oh, I'm like, oh, it's like a trivia. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that was so fun. Her name is Finesse. She's another artist too. I just rhymed finesse with artist. It's like I'm doing a poem.
It's so encouraging to hear you like my stories, because I guess maybe sometimes I do think I'm like, well, you can kind of see your numbers of who's tuning in and out. I'm like, well, how do you keep people hooked? Yeah, with a cliffhanger, with like ellipses, dot dot
Yeah,
dot,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then people want to like know what happens next. It's like, hey, human nature with telling a story. So I'm just happy to be able to explore the evolution of storytelling, like in
Yeah.
quarantine.
And that's fun. I mean, like, I feel like a lot of it too is just sometimes just doing it for you. And I feel like, like when you do the story, it's exciting and you're doing it because you want to, versus just looking at the people for the view. Like, also, like, you're doing it because it's your creativity, like anything. You're self expressing. And then it will resonate with the right people. Like, you will inspire them, and you'll empower them to do other things too, or for them to come back and like read the story because it's giving them entertainment or inspiration, anything that it hits them. It was it. That's, I think, the best line that I got watching like another friend's Zoom like meeting was that whatever that you do, it will resonate with the right people. It doesn't matter the number or who's, it just matters that it takes one to reach one, and when you reach somebody, then that's cool. Reach no,
Yeah.
well, yeah, reach many, that's cool. Because it takes one to reach one, and it takes one to reach many. I also hear.
Ooh, oh
Yeah,
yeah, oh I like
perspective,
that.
perspective.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, I really like that.
Yeah, I've been like just really looking at a lot of things while being in quarantine, and also just like in life in general. Like I have like lots of quotes around me, and I feel like they have helped me a lot during my time of like life or just spiritual journey or whatever, my own struggles. And I'm thankful for quotes that helped me, and I just kept it in my mind in repetition or just saying it. And I feel like that's also a way of just manifesting, or like
Yeah.
believing that you're gonna do something. Like the train, like the train. What's, I forgot his name. I think I can. I think I can. Something
Oh yeah.
Taylor.
Was it Thomas?
Yeah, there you go, Tommy or Thomas the train. Like he just kept saying, "I think I can," and like that's manifesting in itself. And we were all taught that as a child, and I feel like that's a really good quote and motto that I've had from the beginning as a child, and then it just kept sprouting to all these other quotes. And I think that is something that we all like use or should use when we want to do better or good. I feel like that's my stream of consciousness speaking. I like it. It's like poem.
Yeah, the flow again.
Yeah, there, the flowetry, flow, just flowing, going with the flow, path of less resistance.
J-Ray, flowetry with J-Ray.
Wow, that was really fun.
Yeah.
Anything else to say, Sanyee? You want to like maybe we could get questions on chat if people are here. If they want, if you have questions, you could write it down. Or Sanyee, you have some last words, or I don't know. I know.
Yes, that's so great. Yeah, I'd love to come on again. And then, yeah, next time, yeah, when people have questions or if people have questions right now, if they don't, that's fine too.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I like how you said that. And if you don't, it's fine too. I allow whatever that you need.
Yeah.
Well, I see no questions on chat yet. But yeah, like I mean, we could continue messaging each other, like giving each other updates. This was really fun. I've never did this before on like the Twitch platform video screen, and I'm gonna have this on my Anchor app too. Yeah, it was good to connect. We haven't seen each other since like your sister's birthday on the Zoom, and yeah, we need to see Inside Out. So probably if you like do a Zoom, Inside Out is something we should watch.
Okay.
Anything that you want to like put out there, like I'm gonna put your Instagram for sure on the like link. Yeah, cool, and I'll tag you.
Yeah, Instagram sounds good. Yeah, I also started writing on Medium. So
Ooh.
I will write short stories on Medium about love. So far, the one I put up is inspired by real events about like prom night and how I like just stayed up all night talking with a pen pal from Facebook that came to visit on prom night, and we walked around San Francisco all night long, and it was the best. It was just like what you said about manifesting, because I had just in high school I said my dream prom night is walking around the city with someone, getting to know them, and falling for them, and then that happened.
I remember that. I read that. I read that post. I was like, oh, this is really romantic. And then,
I love
being
it.
around the city, it reminded me of rom-com, the one that, um, oh, the one with Ali Wong and the other dude Park. I forgot
Oh
his name.
yeah, Rachel Park. I'll always be my maybe.
Oh yeah. That reminded me of that one. That was really
Yeah.
fun.
So I think that's the beauty of love in relationships too, is that you can look back on it with this like rosy glow still, and you can still retain that romance even when that relationship itself like dissipates and fades.
Yeah.
You always have that memory, and then it's how you like, I guess, tailor the memory or how you tell the memory from your perspective that will affect how it lives on. So I choose the path of happiness,
Mm-hmm.
resilience. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess if people want to read my stories, I'll start writing more. I finished another one called The Artist and the Businessman, a tragedy in 3 acts, and that's with that guy from last year who couldn't handle my emotions.
Whoa, that's exciting. Yeah, please send on the links, and then I'll like put it on my link. I'll share it on the links on the Twitch and as well as the Anchor app, and I'll put like a little post on Instagram too. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah. Oh, I'm super excited then.
Wow, that was a really good flow. Like I feel like you answered a lot of questions that was in my head, or like I don't have a script, but then like I was watching right before this, on YouTube how to become a better podcaster, and then there was a question that I was like thinking about the whole time, and then I'm like, oh, she just answered the question. Wow, I don't need to ask it. Like I asked the question, but then you were so good at like just being a speaker. Like you've been a really good speaker ever since, but you just I mean, and not but you're a really good speaker ever since, and that's what I'm learning too is word choice too.
Oh,
Like communicating, like how you caught yourself. You're like, oh, don't second guess. Oh, yeah, I guess. And then you're like, wait, not I guess. Don't second guess. Remember that? How you caught
yeah.
yourself?
I first guess.
Yeah. So then I'm like, I'm catching myself too. Like for me, it's not to use but because I don't want to negate the first statement that I just said. But
Mm.
I just did it again. But so funny. But catching it, being cognizant, not just being automatic. So what I was
Yeah.
saying, Sanyee, you're always a great speaker, and you continue to be one like right now, and what we just did, because you flowed and you did not just stop and like hesitate because you know your truth story. Your true story is your truth. It's not scripted, and that's what I do in my podcast. Is like I don't have to ask, do it later or edit because it's like a free flow of who you
Yeah.
know who you are, your own spiritual journey. It's your truth, your true story, and nobody can ever take that away from you, even the wisdoms that you have in your life, and it inspires others and empowers others. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
look forward to
Oh,
more
thank you.
podcasts.
Yeah, thanks for creating the safe space too from the start and just ensuring that we had that in place then. That really helps.
Uh, yeah, that I actually like it happened before, and then like I was thinking, how do I make this better? And then a lot of some of my podcasts I'd sent to I would send a lot to my girlfriend, and I was like, yo, how do I communicate that I need space? I mean, it would be a safe space for others too. And then like yeah, that's why I just try to do that as well as I could. So I'm thankful that you felt that in the podcast, and also being I guess friends for a long time, a long time, 2007, that it helps that way as well, that way, and practicing. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching more of your podcasts and hopefully coming back on again.
Yeah, we will. I will send you this so then you can watch yourself, and
Okay,
hopefully
great.
you
I'll send
like
it
it.
to my
I'm happy.
mom.
Huh?
I'll send it to my mom.
Yeah, please tell me like how you feel and like how it looks. I'm really excited too, just to see how it again, like we play it watching ourselves, like me and our own TV show. So woo, that was exciting. Even getting 2 Twitch Prime subs was my friend from high school, and then I don't know, HKT Dusk. Thank you.
Yeah, and I love how you're open to experimenting. Because how, yeah, only 3 hours ago, you're just like, hey, what if we just try Twitch instead of the podcast? And in my head last night, I had been hoping there would be some on camera component because
Oh,
I have
no, really?
stuff later today. Yeah, for like a self tape I need to do. I was like, what do I do on my makeup for Monday?
Yo,
But
that is a manifestation that you did, and it was a creation from just like thinking about it, and then just, oh, it's here. And it's also me too. I'm happy that it just happened the way it happened and made to be synchronicity. Thank you. All right, I'll talk to you later. Yeah?
hey, okay,
Thank
sounds good. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Thanks to
Okay.
everyone too for watching and being here and listening to us. Thanks, Sanyee, for your valuable time and yeah, expressing yourself, being vulnerable with us.
Oh, thank you for having me again, Jay Ray.
Till
Happy
next time.
Saturday.
Oh, happy Saturday. All right. Cool. I'm transitioning it to the last page, and then our faces are not there anymore. In 3, 2, 1, bye.